Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the December 13th, 2021 Mason City Council meeting. I'm so glad everyone is here this evening. First of all, I'd like to have a roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Nelson.
Here.
Councilmember Chance.
Here.
Councilmember Bradburn.
Here.
Councilmember Hackey.
Here.
Councilmember Grossman.
Here.
Councilmember Stricula.
Here.
Mayor Spaeth.
Here. Right now, I would like to ask everyone to stand, and we're going to have a prayer by Chaplain Tom Mole, and then we will also say the Pledge of Allegiance afterwards.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for tonight and for this meeting. We pray your blessing on it. Father, watch over us is our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge of allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. I just want to take one moment to mention this because I think I would be remiss if I did not talk about the devastation that happened to so many in several states over the weekend. Some of our neighboring states, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Illinois, and Mississippi, experienced some of the most devastating losses from the tornadoes, and my heart has been really heavy about it all weekend. So I just want to ask if we can just take a moment of silence to honor them and to think about that, please. Thank you so much. I think there's so many ways that we can all reach out to help, and I hope that we can all help them overcome such tragedy. I just really can't even imagine what they're all going through. Thank you all so much. Okay, I think we're ready for a motion to approve the minutes from the November 29th council meeting and the December 1st organizational meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anyone opposed? No, okay. Eric, can I have the city manager's report, please?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of items here. A motion would be appropriate that would appoint the Clerk of Council, Lisa R., as the elected official designee. This is for council members, public records law training. The Ohio Revised Code requires a designee to be established by a vote of council. A motion would be appropriate at this time to declare that for the next year.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. Did you second? Okay. Thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Next, as the holidays approach, offices will be closed on Friday, December 24th and Friday, December 31st. The community center will remain open, but with limited access on December 25th, Christmas Day. This year, since Christmas Day as well as New Year's Day both occur on Saturday, that means that Mason customers will not be affected by Rumpke. They will not have to delay or skip any pickups. So waste collection as normal. The city will begin our Christmas tree pickup the first week in January. Residents should place their trees at curbside for pickup and recycling. Trees placed in bags at the curb will be picked up by Rumpke. So prefer that you recycle, keep the bag off, drag it to the curb. City crews will take care of it. I have 2 liquor permits that need attention from council. The first is to Tide Terrace LLC, doing business as Tide Terrace and Patio. The permit type is a D1, which is beer only for on-premises consumption in sealed containers for carryout until 1 a.m. Council may request a hearing or not request a hearing and do it via motion.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion not to have a hearing.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Second one is for Zundo Mason Inc., doing business as Zundo. It is a D5, which is spirituous liquor for on-premises consumption only, beer and wine for on-premises and off-premises in original sealed containers until 2:30 a.m. Similarly, council can request or not request a hearing via motion.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion not to have a hearing.
Okay,
Second?
thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Another item, Don Williams, I believe, is in the audience, and we're notified that he, via the mayor, will be appointed to Park Board and would like to swear, Library Board. I hope Sarah's not watching. It's the Library Board. Did Don leave?
No, he's back there. Do you want to come
I think
forward,
if
Don?
the mayor would like to swear you in front of everyone, Don.
I won't swear at you. Which way do you want to go? Okay, raise your right hand, please. And after I say aye, state your name. I
Don Williams,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Mason, Ohio,
Charter and ordinances of the City of Mason, Ohio,
and the rules and regulations
and the rules and regulations
of the Board of Trustees of the Mason Public Library
of the Mason Public Library
during my time serving as board member
during my time serving as board member
of the Mason Public Library Board.
of the Mason Public Library Board.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry.
Mayor, I do have one other item, a special request to advance one item, and I'm under some pressure to do this. Resolution 2021-27, would like to, with council's permission, the audiences address that now. Otherwise, I'm not going to be on the right list.
Okay, do I have a motion to read by title only?
So moved?
Second?
Okay.
We better,
I just got directive about that list. We need to read the whole thing.
Oh, okay. We have to get some people up here to help us, right? Wait, who's going to come up here to help us read it?
Here. You want your hair?
Anybody else? Hugh, do you want to sit in my lap? There you go.
no, you can sit right here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one. I have one, Dad.
This is on. This is on.
Wait. Hello.
Hey, you have yours?
Yes, one's be cute.
Did we want to read the title? You want to read the title,
here.
Josh?
You got the title?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So this is Resolution 2021-27, encouraging Santa to visit all local children to spread Christmas joy, magic, and cheer.
Whereas it is the intention of Santa to spread Christmas joy to all and to remind everyone of goodwill and selfless giving in the city of Mason and across the planet. And
whereas Mason residents are encouraged to participate in the various events and activities happening in Mason with family and friends as part of 2021 Christmas in Mason season in order to share and spread holiday spirit throughout the community. And
Whereas Mason City Council encourages Santa and his 9 reindeer, led by Rudolph and his red nose, then Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen, to return to Mason on December 24th, 2021, and
Whereas it is by the power of those who believe that Santa may visit and bless the city of Mason with Christmas joy and cheer, and whereas Mason City Council wishes Santa and his reindeer a safe flight. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Mason, Ohio, that 7 members elected thereto concurring.
Section 1. That Santa should visit the household of all of the good boys and girls within the city of Mason corporate limits and beyond.
Section 2. That every Mason child has tried their very hardest to be good.
Section 3, that Mason community continues to share the power to believe.
Section 4. That as we celebrate the season, we keep in mind those within our community that may be struggling without family or in need and providing a helping hand of kindness. Section 5. That this resolution shall be enforced and become effective from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
Passed this 13th of December, 2021.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, they did a great job, didn't they? Yay. I guess we need to finish the motion. I guess I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
A motion to adopt?
So moved?
Second.
Is there any council discussion? I wanted to ask them before they left, what did they think Santa's favorite cookie was? Does anybody have any idea? Because I have inside information.
Snickerdoodle.
Yes.
Easy.
Easy. Okay, get a roll call, please.
Councilmember Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson.
Yes.
Okay, Eric, did you have anything else for your report?
No, that wraps it up. No pun.
That does it. Okay, very good. Okay, next we have item 6, which is recognition of visitors. And I just want to respectfully remind everyone that this is a time for you, the public, to be able to come up and make your statements to us. So I want you to understand if you have a question or some concern that you have that needs follow-up, we will do that sometime after the meeting tonight, because this is a time for you to just to make your statements to us and let us listen to you. Right now, I want to entertain and see if anybody on council wants to limit the amount of time that we're going to listen to recognition of visitors tonight, just because I know a lot of people are here for some of the issues that have already been vetted out many times in some of the other council meetings. So I'm sure there's a lot of people here that have already spoken before. So I'm going to ask if, and we do have quite a few people that have signed up. So we want to try to give an opportunity for everyone to be able to speak. So would anybody on council like to make a motion to limit the amount of time that we will listen to recognition of visitors tonight? No motions?
Well, Mayor, I think it's been pretty consistent. Last time, we made a motion to make it an hour long. I would certainly like to make a motion to make it an hour. And is it 3 to 5 minutes that we have utilized in the past?
I think it can be up to 5. You can make it any amount that you,
How many do we have on the list?
We did 3 last time.
Did we do? So why don't we, good round numbers, 3 minutes? So I'd like to make a motion, keep it to an hour and 3 minutes per.
I'll second that.
You're seconding? Okay. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
Do we need to have individual vote? No? Okay. All right, so we're going to have an hour for recognition of visitors, and everybody will get 3 minutes apiece. I do want to, again, respectfully ask that if you have gotten up and spoken before, if your name is called, if you would maybe let someone else try to speak that hasn't had an opportunity. It sounds like we might be able to get everybody fit in within the hour. But we're going to call City of Mason residents first, because I know the issues that are on here tonight that people are really concerned about, concern strictly the citizens of Mason. But again, I think we're going to be able to get everyone to be able to come up and speak. So I'm turning it over to Jennifer. She's going to call you up and be ready to come up so that we can try to get everybody through in 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I think what would be helpful, too, I'm going to call in groups, and if you guys want to just stage against the wall, and that way we can move through this pretty quickly, okay? So the first 5 would be Mrs. Mindy Cornett, Susie Lertzman, Amy... So you can take the next person? Who was that? Oh, Susie. Sorry, Susie. Okay. So, again, Mindy Cornett, Amy Mercer, Kathy Elliott, Joy Bennett, Linda Crabtree. Linda Crabtree wave? Is that what I heard? Okay.
Mayor, point of privilege. Mayor, do we know, as you're going down the list, if Mason residents signed up first in chronological order?
No, but they did put their city and state they were from, so I'll just...
Okay, and I was going to suggest if you added a buffer of a few minutes for transitions, since we have this issue, but I didn't get a chance earlier. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Minda Bauer-Cornett, and I live at 5083 Concord Hill Circle here in Mason. My first thing is I didn't get a chance to come in to the last city council meeting, so I wanted to say congratulations to all the newly elected and the people in new offices. Good luck. The first thing I had a question on, the Ordinance 102, that are changes on the zoning. Are these changes going to make a difference in what we were shown in the meeting a few months ago of what the zoning was planned to be in Mason? Are these new changes, or are they just upholding those? Do we have any idea?
I can quickly respond to that when we get to that item on the agenda. It is the same item that's been discussed a couple of times.
Right.
Expected to be tabled for work session, so there are no adjustments based on what you probably heard a month or two ago.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. I'd also like to talk about ordinance number 136. I would like to say that I am pleased that this ordinance is being repealed. And if a future project is discussed, I'd like to suggest that residents living in that general area are invited to participate and make suggestions on how the property could be developed. If you live there, you don't want, too many, everybody drinks, I know that, or most people, but you don't want places that are going to be playing music at 2 and 3 in the morning. And, it's a little late at night for that. So, I go out and have a good time just like everybody else, but I try to be nice about it. The only other thing I wanted to mention is I think it's great that you're letting the City of Mason people go first, because actually we're the ones who live here. We are the ones it's going to affect the most. And I think all these other people, it's lovely that you decided to come, but I really think the City of Mason people should have the right to say what they want to happen in their city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy Elliott, Joy Bennett, Kyra Fuster, Sonia Milrod.
So I just want to, Kathy Elliott, 5322 Crestwood Drive. And I'd like to start by congratulating our new mayor and vice mayor and the newly elected members of council, and by thanking the returning members for their service. I was encouraged to see that tonight's agenda includes discussion about repealing the Sanctuary City Ordinance. Abortion legislation is actively being fought at the state level and in federal courts. And while I do not enjoy that fight, and I fear the reversal of Roe v. Wade and imposition of restrictions in the state of Ohio, at least those are the appropriate places for those battles to be waged. I was very active in collecting signatures for the related referendum, and as such, I talked face-to-face with hundreds of Mason citizens. Both Republicans and Democrats are upset that this was ever brought up, much less made into a law, by City Council. Overreach and inappropriate were words I heard over and over again. At the October 25th rally, prior to the vote to enact the ordinance, I was in the crowd of protesters and counter-protesters outside this building. It was ugly out there, and I was genuinely afraid that someone was going to be hurt. It was the saddest and most appalling thing I've seen happen in this town. News outlets were there to capture it and to broadcast Mason at its worst. How can any of you possibly want to subject us to more of that? You have the opportunity to repeal the ordinance now. We just had an election, and the voters made their intentions overwhelmingly clear. The election results went the way they did because of two main reasons. Citizens did not like the downtown apartment development, and they did not like the Sanctuary City Ordinance. Given the record voter turnout and the resounding margins by which this new council was elected, and previous members were not re-elected, to put this on the ballot now feels redundant. To quote the previous mayor during the October 11th meeting, the electorate did elect us and put us in place to make this decision. Well, then 3 weeks later, after that statement, we had an election, and yes, the electorate spoke in record numbers during an off-year election. They want this to go away. And I'll add one more quote from the former mayor at that same meeting. Our community needs peace and resolution over this matter. By voting to repeal tonight, you will spare Mason the expense, labor, time, resources, embarrassing press coverage, and campaigning from both sides that will only prolong the divisiveness that we've been living with since July. This was a miscalculated political stunt that opened Mason to litigation and handcuffed it to the dictates of an organization based in Texas. Please vote to repeal Ordinance 2021-108 tonight and allow us to all concentrate our efforts and resources on things that will help Mason. Thank you.
Joy Bennett, 1054 Willow Lane. As you know, I led the successful referendum of Ordinance 2021-108. We heard last week that the Board of Elections has validated enough signatures to put the ordinance on the ballot. However, I am here to ask you to repeal the ordinance in one reading as an emergency. The specific ordinance poses huge legal threats to our city. Over the past 2 weeks, I've found several legal opinions warning of the danger this ordinance could pose if it passes. I will pass copies out after my remarks. First, on December 2nd, Florida State Attorney General Ashley Moody issued an opinion that state law controls abortion regulation. Local governments can't pass laws around it. On December 8th, City Council in Curtis, Nebraska voted against passing a similar ordinance from Mark Lee Dixon's team. An opinion from Emeritus Professor of Constitutional Law stated, "It is likely the ordinance will be challenged in federal court. These kinds of lawsuits are quite expensive for anyone to defend. I recommend very careful consideration of whether whatever has been received from Mark Lee Dixon and Jonathan Mitchell promising representation is legally enforceable." Third, the Supreme Court. They've stated opinions on both the Texas abortion ban and the abortion case challenging a Mississippi law banning abortion. Of note, Justice Brett Kavanaugh indicated how harmful vigilante ordinances are to our constitutional rights by saying there's a loophole that's been exploited here or used here. It could be free speech rights, it could be freedom of exercise of religion rights, it could be Second Amendment rights. And note in the news just today, California is challenging our Second Amendment rights. Governor Newsom made a statement calling for a bill modeled on the Texas abortion ban to crack down on gun manufacturers. Justice John Roberts minced no words, stating, "The clear purpose and actual effect of the Texas law was to nullify this court's rulings. This undermines the Constitution, the fundamental role of the Supreme Court, and the court system as a whole. If the legislatures of several states may at will annul the judgments of the courts of the United States and destroy the rights acquired under those judgments, the Constitution itself becomes a solemn mockery," he said. He was quoting an 1809 case which found that state legislatures cannot overrule federal courts. The nature of the federal right infringed doesn't matter. It's the role of the Supreme Court in our constitutional system that is at stake. This doesn't even touch on the economic challenges that are being faced by Mason. In Ohio, they are struggling with a brain drain. Legislators are considering financial incentives to keep people here. However, a recent survey by Perry Undum found that 66% of college-educated workers would not take a job in a state that prohibits abortion after 6 weeks. Roughly half said they would move out of a state that passed such restrictions. So this ordinance heaps insult upon injury in a state where we're already struggling with the pandemic and we're already struggling with people leaving the state. So I'm here to ask you to repeal the ordinance so that we're not open to something that's never been litigated before, allowing this one to go forward to electors that sets our city up for lawsuits and economic disaster. Those are not the headlines that we want to be making for our city. Thank you.
Kara Fuster, Cora Steinberg, Nicole Laparati, Mark Campbell. All right. Katie Hauer, Josie Contreras, Melissa Pallotta. Am I getting it close? Sorry if I mispronounced. Patrick. I'm sorry, Melissa, if you could wait, I'm sorry. Patrick Madigan, Mark Burrell.
Hi, I'm Katie Hauer, 5405 Harvestdale Drive. I have spoken before council in the past, but not on this particular issue. Like many of the brave women and even men who have testified here before on the issue, I too have a story. And it is deeply personal and sad, but I think we've heard plenty of those stories. What I deeply resent is some council members and some former council members believing that they know what God wants for my family and what is best for my family. So I'm very happy to see that on the agenda tonight is a repeal of the Sanctuary City Ordinance. I believe some of the people who spoke before me have laid out the important reasons why that is important for the city of Mason. I too want us to get back to the things that are truly important for the city of Mason. We are not what they say we are. We're a bunch of suburban soccer moms who just want our rights for our children and our families, and for ourselves, of course. So please, I urge all of you to vote to repeal this ordinance. Thank you.
Mark Campbell, 5167 Lakeside Drive, Mason, Ohio. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I want to speak on behalf of those who don't have a voice to speak, who cannot stand up for themselves. Mason City Council made the right decision in voting to establish Mason as a sanctuary city for the life of the unborn. And while I may not always agree with the council decisions, standing and supporting the innocent life via this law should be applauded as a noble and good decision. And I have to be honest and candid. Abortion is not health care, no matter what the opposition is saying. It is shedding the innocent blood of children in their mother's womb. And in a place that should offer the most protection for that fragile and precious life, some in the community want to have that life taken away. Those in opposition to this law are standing with Herman Gosnell, who was convicted of killing babies born alive. They stand with Planned Parenthood, whose purpose is to profit from killing babies. Council made a decision to protect children and shouldn't repeal the law. This decision means more girls and children of color will be protected. Why? Because they bear the brunt of the abortions. In order to have an honest and open dialogue and discussion, we have to remove the lies and the distortions. It is not health care when abortion doctors do not have to go by the health care regulations for facilities or have admitting rights to hospitals. These are the things that the abortion industry stands against consistently. When you stop a beating heart, it is not health care. Depriving a baby of its life is not health care. Selling baby parts is not health care. When it's the baby's life that is taken, it's not about the woman, it's about the child. If this law is repealed, those who oppose the law will begin working on getting taxpayer funding or other steps to harm innocent life. We need to keep the door closed against such actions and protect the innocent. Psalm 139, verses 13 and 14 says this, "For you formed my inward parts. You covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well." Continue to make the right stand against abortion and keep this law. This law...
Mr. Campbell, you've come to the end of your allotted time. Can you allow time for the next guest, please?
Thank you.
Good evening. Jose Maria Contreras, 4618 Braid Lane here in Mason. Welcome, new council members. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you tonight. I am inspired by how you come together, what you have done, and what the future holds under your leadership. As many Mason residents, a couple of months ago, I tried to have my voice heard regarding the sanctuary ordinance. Unfortunately, as it was a staple of the previous council or some of its members, our voices were not heard, and the ordinance was passed. During those meetings, the previous council heard from many people, most of who were not Mason residents. On October 25th, 30 people spoke before council in the first round of recognition of visitors. The majority were not Mason residents, and guess what? They were speaking for the ordinance. Of the Mason residents, the majority spoke against the ordinance. I'm probably repeating something you already know, but it is to illustrate my point tonight. This council needs to get back to working for and listening to its community. Everyone in the community, not just the ones who voted for you, the ones who align with your political stance, your religion, or your sports team, not people from other cities or states. Over the past few months, and likely more, this body engaged in behaviors and actions that did not have the community's best interest as the guiding principles. We sat here watching how personal agendas, political interests, and non-residents guided the council's agenda. Ordinances, decisions, discussions, unfortunately had a high personal content and direction was lost. It's time to retake the direction that is best for Mason, its residents, and our future. The election of a new council is a clear message. Mason is looking to get back the lost direction that has made our city what it is today. This body needs to refocus on fostering and enabling the continued unified growth and development of Mason. Let's set the new Mason agenda and work towards it. Let's go back to leading. Leadership is about unifying, not dividing. This is one of the main short-term tasks of this new body, unifying and putting behind the division that was introduced into our community and not allowing it to perpetuate. It is especially important in the times we live in that unity is preserved as much as possible and as broad as possible. We cannot move forward as a divided city or country. It is the power of unity that has made the city and nation what it is today, what I would think we want to stand for, and what our legacy should be. It is with this spirit that even though Mason has done the work to send the ordinance to a referendum, having this linger is not in the best interest of the community. It is not something that Mason asked for. It is something that would hurt Mason. There are many recent legal opinions, even ones by Supreme Court that Ms. Bennett mentioned, about these vigilant ordinances and the hurt to constitutional rights and the cities that implement them. I will not go over all of these. What I would like to emphasize is the task at hand. The vote for the repeal of this ordinance is in Mason's best interest. It will help the community heal from the last months and focus on the right things and a bright future. We are counting on you. We are rooting for you. Thank you.
Patrick Madigan, 9203 Knights Ridge Lane, Deerfield Township. Thank you for your service to our community and the time to share this evening. I believe the City of Mason and Mason City Council has a unique opportunity to lead, not to follow, in an effort to protect the sanctity of human life in our community, and to direct women who are in difficult pregnancy situations to places of hope and care, like Life Forward here in Cincinnati. Local churches as well. I applaud the efforts of Kathy Grossman, Tony Brayburn, TJ Honerlaw, and Mike Gilb in doing the legwork and proposing the Sanctuary City Ordinance. I ask the council members who voted against the ordinance to please stand strong for your convictions. Your council bios and a WVXU article that I read this past weekend use descriptions like a staunch conservative, Sunday school teacher, valuing faith, family, and community. Another is a member of a local church, anti-abortion. Another helps kids with programs like Upward Basketball and is also anti-abortion. You are compassionate, caring people and can make a difference in our community by leading the way to protect unborn children. I understand the temptations to not make waves, the dilemma between federal laws and local ordinances, but our society desperately needs people in leadership positions to stand firm for godly principles, principles that many of you share. There are certain times in life where we are to obey God rather than men, and this opportunity for Mason to be a sanctuary city is one of them. Please stand strong for the unborn children. Thank you. I'm Mark Burrell. I live at 6370 Caddy's Way. I am pro-life, and I believe that we ought to govern as pro-life. I support making Mason a sanctuary city. One of the main arguments made during this debate is that we must keep religion out of politics because of separation of church and state. I have some thoughts on that I'd like to share. There's a huge problem with this separation of church and state argument. There is no such legal principle in any of our founding documents, none. In fact, this phrase, lifted from a private letter written by Thomas Jefferson, had an entirely different meaning. Our most important founding document is the Declaration of Independence. This document makes certain timeless claims to which all American citizens are called to embrace and to defend. The Constitution is important, but is simply our governing framework based on the principles in the Declaration. In the opening paragraph of the Declaration, the founders referred to the laws of nature and of nature's God, which is a direct reference to the moral law summarized by the Ten Commandments. I can supply the quotes. Their entire argument for separation was based on the fact that the King of England was governing immorally. And the standard for what laws are moral and which are not is the Ten Commandments. In the second paragraph, they state, we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, us. The primary purpose of every civil government in America is to protect these rights, especially the right to life, explicitly called out in Genesis 9, 5, and 6, and the Ten Commandments. The moral law is the cornerstone of our American Republic because it serves as our moral and legal standard. This is why the Ten Commandments were posted in every schoolhouse and courtroom from the 1600s up until the late 1900s. to make sure the next generation understood this. If the moral law is not the legal standard, then what standard are we using? Please give me your list. The Supreme Court processed many cases over the first 150 years of our republic. They consistently affirmed the reality and importance of biblical principles for governing it, including the moral law as the legal standard. This changed in the 1947 case of Everson versus Board of Education when Justice Hugo Black wrote the famous line abortion advocates quote. Black was referring to a private letter from Jefferson to the Danbury Baptist Association, who was concerned the federal government might meddle with religious institutions. Jefferson's view...
Ms. Burrell, I'm sorry, you've come to the end of your allotted time. Please allow time for our next guest, Donna Chillicotty, Joshua Beckman, Lori Vire, and Melissa Pilata. So, sorry, Joshua Beckman, Lori Vires, Melissa Pilata. I'm sorry, can I do this one first? Tricia Hiltman. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Tricia Hilton Mills, and I live at 535 Shawnee Lane, Mason, Ohio. I want to point out just a couple things. We do have separation of church and state. We do hope for a separation of fiction from fact. So far in Ohio, we've had 1,787,029 cases of COVID. Of that, 27,371 people have died. In the last 24 hours, we've had 5,618 new cases of COVID. Yet there are no restrictions. People are allowed choice, and that's fine. In the last 4 days, I worked 48 hours, and 47.8% of my patients had COVID and were hospitalized. We have no restrictions. We've decided federally that we cannot mandate vaccination, yet we have ever-growing case numbers. Tonight, before I came, I was getting ready, and I just want to point out that the last 4 days I haven't seen my family very much. And my son, who was on his way to a Boy Scout meeting, said, "Good luck, Mom," because he understands that America is based on freedom, and America is based on equality. I want to read an email that I sent that the person I sent it to might not have gotten to see. I'd like to thank all of you for your service to the City of Mason as part of our City Council. The job's been a whole lot lately. Thank you for tirelessly representing the citizens of Mason. I urge you to vote emergently to rescind the sanctuary city ordinance tonight. The bill will negatively affect our town. The Ohio State House and in Washington are much more appropriate places for bills such as this. The new Ohio Grow Bill introduced shows just how much Ohio is being affected by loss of citizens and future generations of talent. At this time, having to give tax breaks just to get people to live in our state is what these kinds of discriminatory actions are bringing forth. I know I do not want to live in a place that doesn't represent all of its citizens equally. I know many of you do not see this as a women's rights issue. However, I cannot see it as anything else. It is the erosion of many years of hard-fought equality for women. Stating this is an ordinance in name only is not true. Words have power. Words are causing our country so many problems right now. Science and facts are not political. Putting laws on women and girls' bodies which regulate their actions, related to their health care, says loudly that Mason sees women and girls as second-class citizens. The culture established by that is and will be far-reaching. I know of 2 families personally who have moved from Mason due to politics such as this.
Mrs. Hilton Mills, I'm sorry, you've come to the end of your allotted time. Can you allow time for the next guest, please?
Thank you so much.
Good evening, council members. My name is Josh Beckman. I live at 422 Lakefront Drive, Lebanon, Ohio. First, want to just say that I truly love each and every one of you up here. I really do. And I love you so much that I do not want to see you commit such an egregious act and have to take that to the foot of the cross. Why on earth would you make it an agenda item to repeal the most righteous law a municipal could ever pass? Ordinance 2021-135. You all call yourselves Republican. Well, according to the 2016 RNC platform, we assert the sanctity of human life and affirm that the unborn child has a fundamental right to life which cannot be infringed. And we support legislation to make clear that the 14th Amendment's protections apply to children before birth. The Democratic Party is extreme on abortion. Democrats' almost limitless support of abortion and their strident opposition to even the most basic restrictions on abortion put them dramatically out of step with the American people. Quote, RNC. Repealing this ordinance would align yourselves with the pro-death party. According to Merriam-Webster, pro-family means favoring or encouraging traditional family structures and values, and also opposing abortion. If you truly oppose this ordinance, then you must be anti-family. Merriam-Webster also describes legislator as one that makes laws, and ordinance as a law set forth by a governmental authority, specifically a municipal regulation. Council members, do you really want to be perceived as Ohio's most anti-family and pro-abortion municipal legislators in the state of Ohio? Only one municipal in the United States has repealed a similar legislation. Do you really want to be perceived as the second most anti-family and pro-abortion municipal legislators in the United States? Mayor Spaeth, you stated that this ordinance is subject to litigation. Every ordinance a municipal passes is subject to litigation. You're already in one now with Tufts University. If you truly know what pro-life means, can you tell me what the ruling of Dobbs versus Jackson was? What about Planned Parenthood versus Casey? Instead of questioning the legality of this ordinance, maybe you should speak to the author who clerked for Justice Scalia of the United States Supreme Court, Jonathan F. Mitchell, so you do not misinform the public. You cannot get more qualified than that individual. Josh Stricula, you had stated on October 11th, it shouldn't be left to the 7 of us to make that decision, but it should be left up to the electorate. I'd like to make a motion to refer this to the ballot to allow the City of Mason to decide. Councilmember Nelson, you had stated, regardless of how we are going to vote on this, I would hope that you wouldn't make this an emergency clause because the residents of our community still have a right to do a referendum regardless of how we vote up here. That is their right, and we should give them that right to be able to do that. Councilmember Chance, you had stated specifically, to the point of Councilmember Nelson and what Councilmember Stricula had stated, why wouldn't we take it to the voters?
I'm sorry, you've come to the end of your allotted time.
You've
allowed time for our next.
You vote for this,
please.
you're giving my generation little hope for the future.
My name is Lori Byers. I live at 41 Springhouse Court, Lebanon, and I represent Warren County Right to Life with many members in Mason. The pro-life ordinance passed on October the 25th of this year would make it illegal to perform a surgical abortion or to do chemical abortions inside the city of Mason. It would not penalize the pregnant mothers, only the abortionists. 3 or 4 of you argued that night, or in October, which was 2 months ago, to let the voters decide. To repeal or overturn this good ordinance is a direct pro-abortion vote. For anyone worried about this ordinance costing the city legal fees, let me remind you, 42 cities in the U.S. have passed a sanctuary city for the unborn ordinance. 8 of those 42 were challenged in court. Not one of those lawsuits were successful, not one. Lebanon passed ours in May, and we've not seen a lawsuit since passing it. And things are going great in Lebanon. Mason has free legal representation in the unlikely event of a lawsuit. Josh Beckman referred to the very qualified Jonathan Mitchell, who would represent the city if there should be a lawsuit. So it won't cost taxpayers anything. Again, a vote to overturn the sanctuary city for the unborn ordinance is a direct pro-abortion vote, and it would be especially heinous to do so at Christmas time, when it was an unborn baby who first recognized Jesus.
Is there a Melissa Pilata? I might get that pronunciation wrong. Okay.
Hi, I'm Melissa Pilata, 479 Bunchberry Drive, and I live in Maineville. And I just wanted to say one thing. I know that I'm not from Mason, but I love Mason. Everything that I do is in Mason. I eat in Mason, I shop in Mason, and I love this city. And so I just really felt like I should come and support what you have already passed. I am pro-life. I'm so grateful for Josh Beckman. I just want to say thank you, Josh. And for former Mayor Kathy Grossman, I'm so encouraged that you wanted to choose life. And I know that there is just one verse that I do want to share with you, and that is in Proverbs. Sorry, I just lost it. It is Proverbs 18:21. The tongue is life, has the power of life and death, and those that love it will eat of its fruit. And I know that the city of Mason wants to be seen as a city of life and not a city of death. And I also know that if you continue to stand by this referendum, that you will be standing for life. This is about the life of babies. This is about a city that wants to be a place of safety for children, and that I know that everybody here would love to be standing here and believing that their children are safe. And I know that if you appeal this, that you will be standing for death. And that saddens me greatly.
Okay, I think we got to the end of the list, but since so many of you were so kind to waive your chance to speak, I think we will go back to the top of the list and do as many as we can within the 60 minutes. How many minutes are left? I honestly didn't look when we started. Was it, what was it?
About 20 minutes are left.
About 20 minutes are left. So I guess Jennifer will start back at the top of the list. And any of you that were gracious enough to waive your right to speak right now will get an opportunity as we go down the list, okay?
Okay, Susie Lertzman.
My name is Al Lertzman, 7343 Rideau Court in Mason, Ohio. I just want to make sure for those who are listening on IRC or who listen to this later on, I want to make something very clear. The previous speaker who quoted council members Chance and Stricula as having said, take this to the voters, was taking their comments out of context. At the time, it was very clear that the majority of Mason residents who had spoken on the issue opposed it. The reason that they said let it go to the voters was because it was very clear at the time that the ordinance was going to be passed by 2 current council members, as well as 2 who got way less votes than their opponents in the last election. If it had passed as an emergency measure, it would have foreclosed the ability of the citizens to get it on the ballot. Therefore, they were saying, don't pass it as an emergency, let the citizens have their say. The citizens have had their say now. In a very short period of time, a huge number of citizens, both parties, pro and against abortion, signed the referendum to get it on the ballot. So the people of Mason have spoken. What they did was correct. It gave the citizens a chance to speak. Now they have a chance to get rid of it, period. Let it get back to the state and the federal level. But again, you're taking their comments out of context, making it sound like they are changing their position. They're not. They are both anti-abortion, but they also don't believe that this is a city issue.
Okay, Amy Mercer. Okay. Linda Crabtree. Kara Fuster. No. Sonia Milrod. Cora Steinberg. Nicole Laparati.
Nicole Apparati, 6400 Amber Court, Mason, Ohio. I want to welcome all of our new council members and our new mayor and vice mayor. It was definitely very exciting to see you guys sworn in, and I'm so very thankful for the new members and the returning members as well. I was very excited to see this on our agenda, that it is being considered to be repealed tonight for the sanctuary city for the unborn, as well as several other ordinances that went through, where the residents of Mason have spoke up multiple times against a lot of these issues, and we felt like we weren't heard. I want to get back to other issues. I can't wait until we're coming to city council and we are not talking about this and we don't have signs out and we don't have to talk about this anymore. I want to be able to move on to specific city issues. So I want to thank you guys for considering repealing this, and I can't wait to see what more comes from all of you moving forward. Thank you.
The last one is Donna Chillicotty. You'll wave? Okay. That's all, Mayor.
Okay, I think we've gotten through the entire list. I just want to make sure there's not anyone left that needs to get up and speak on any issue tonight. Okay, all right, we're going to move along. We are now to item number 8, I believe, Ordinance 2021-102. I need a motion to read by title only, please. Or are you going to explain it first? I need a motion.
Yeah, we can go ahead and read it. It's been read on 2 occasions. I think it's appropriate to read by title only.
Okay, I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Jeff.
An ordinance to repeal, amend, and add various sections and chapters of the zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations, and to amend the zoning map regarding downtown Mason zoning.
Eric.
As was mentioned earlier, this ordinance has been read a couple of times, has returned to council's attention, has been tabled. First reading was actually held on October 11th. At our last meeting, this was tabled until tonight. Having spoken with council members, and at that time has suggested a work session would be appropriate to further discuss this. Based on conversations with council members, it appears that January 24th is the earliest time that would have the most attendance from council. So I think firstly, if council would like to, via motion, set a work session for suggested 4 p.m. on Monday, January 24th, I then think it would be appropriate or would suggest tabling consideration of this ordinance until February 14th.
Is there such motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, item number 9. We have ordinance 2021-131. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second?
Any seconds? Thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Jeff?
Establishing the 2022 fee schedule for the City of Mason and declaring an emergency.
Jennifer?
Yes, Mayor, members of council, at the November 8th council meeting, the council approved ordinance 2021-116, which authorized a COLA increase. That COLA increase applies to all non-union wages as well as fees and charges for services throughout the city. What you see before you tonight is a number of those fees. We're asking for council to approve this legislation that authorizes that 3% COLA increase that was approved in November to be applied against these fees. Typically, those COLA increases are very nominal, and so lots of times you'll see staff will wait until we get to a whole dollar amount or several dollar amounts, and then it gets reflected in this. New to the fee schedule will be the new Mason Municipal Aquatic Center, including not only season passes for that facility, but also daily passes, as well as Mason Community Center membership rates. Those rates haven't been increased since 2010, so this will be the first increase for those. They'll go in effect starting in January. The goal with this is to do annual increases so that we stay up with inflation in regards to all of the city's services and user fees. With that, ordinance 2021-131 is recommended for adoption. Thank you.
So moved.
Thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spate?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Okay, item number 10, ordinance 2021-132. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Laser Imaging and Design Incorporated for the purchase and installation of a Gold Star Memorial and declaring an emergency.
Jennifer?
Yes, Mayor, members of council, for the last, actually probably year and a half, the Veterans Board of Affairs has been evaluating improvements and upgrades to our Veterans Memorial that is just outside the Municipal Center here. That Veterans Memorial will celebrate its 20th anniversary in 2023. With that, the Veterans Board of Affairs was looking to do some improvements, including upgrading or improving some of the landscaping out there, upgrading the lights. I don't think the lights have worked for a number of years now, as well as adding a new Gold Star Family Memorial. This past year, you'll see one of the additions to the Veterans area was the Never Forget Garden. That garden was a way to show Americans' unwavering commitment to the sacred duty to recognize, remember, and honor veterans who have continued to serve as first responders, as well as their families. And that was located just next to the Veterans Memorial. The Gold Star Family Memorial the location for that is being planned for to be located next to the Never Forget Garden just before you enter the Veterans Memorial. The reason we are asking for legislation to be approved tonight is in order to move forward with that memorial and have it added to that area prior to Memorial Day next year. We need to get the piece of granite ordered. There's no design or final design approved yet. The Veterans Board will consider designs for that as we move into next year. But we do need to get this piece ordered, so that's what this legislation does for us this evening. I don't know if any members of the committee would like to speak on this, but with that, ordinance 2021-132 is recommended for adoption.
Thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Yes.
Yes. Thank you. First of all, thank you to the committee for your tireless work. Our memorials are just getting more and more special. As if we thought they couldn't get better, they get better and better. And I'm so thankful for these additions. And I'm looking at the memo and the beautiful Never Forget Garden plaque, and it's hard for me to tell the dimensions, but it looks like it might be more ornamental and small, but I'm not sure if it only comes in one size. Does it come in one size?
Yes, it only comes in one size, and that's why in the photograph that you did see, we did place the plaque itself on a piece of black granite to help raise its visibility.
Okay, well, that's where I was going. You read my mind. I was wondering if we could consider, and maybe maybe it works with this in this budget, adding a stand or building a stand to make it more visible. It's just so small. But I wasn't sure if that had been made yet, but this looks like this one is ours, the one that's here in the memo. Forget me.
Which one are you looking at?
The Never Forget
Garden?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what is actually located out there.
Okay. Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Okay, thank you. And I know you haven't designed the other one, but perhaps consider a stand for the Never Forget Garden to raise its visibility a little bit. Just a thought. But the other one, I know that's just a sample, but that's really, really.
Does anyone else have any other comments?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I just want to be very brief, but I just want to say thank you to the Veterans Board for the work that they've done. And we have just an amazing memorial out there, and this is just going to make it even better and create an awesome experience for all of our veterans as well as now their families too. And so appreciate council's consideration of this. I think it's a big deal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Again, I agree totally. We have such an awesome memorial out there. I don't know if you've had a chance to visit it. And also, if you have a person that you would like to honor in your family, you can buy a brick. And I don't know if a lot of people realize that you can do that, and you can have your name placed in the brick. And that's another really great way to honor. And it doesn't have to be someone who was in the military. It can just be your family members. So I hope that you all will when the weather gets a little warmer, get out there and look at the memorial. Okay, so I guess we are ready. If there's no other discussion, we need a roll call.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. On to ordinance number 11, or item number 11, ordinance 2021-133. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Lake Erie Golf Cars LLC for the purchase of 80 2022 Easy Go RXV lithium golf cars with GPS units, including the trade-in of 100 obsolete 2015 club car precedent golf cars in an amount of $598,560.
Okay, Kurt?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a much needed replacement for the existing fleet. That was, as Jeff mentioned, we purchased in 2015. So we've had 7 years with the existing golf cars and have replaced batteries. And there many times there's 15 to 30 at any one time they're not operating. We did look at 3 options for replacement of these golf cars. One was to purchase, and then the other 2 were various lease arrangements. We after careful review, we're recommending purchasing the golf cars in addition to GPS screens, which will offer much better flexibility as well as the operation and maintenance of the fleet. This new technology, the lithium batteries have a 5-year warranty, and also the current vendor has given us a guaranteed trade-in after 5 years that makes the purchase much more attractive option than the leasing options. We are recommending 80 carts rather than the 100 that we're trading in, since the Bruin is totally closed since the last purchase. And as I said, many of our cars are not working, and we really believe that 80 could take care of most, if not all, of our needs out there. There are occasions where during large outings we may need to rent carts. But those will be very seldom, and we believe that there is a fleet available that we could do that at a much cheaper option. So with that, a purchase using Ordinance 2021-133 is recommended for adoption. And I will just add, Cars is not a typo. The industry calls them cars because cars are self-propelled and carts you push and pull. So we learned that from the vendor as well. So with that, I'll answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Okay, any council discussion?
I'll second.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Actually, that was something I asked my husband, who's a golfer. I said, what, is this a typo? They're talking about cars and not carts, but that's interesting to know that, yeah. And I said, do you really need GPS? He goes, yes, you don't understand how to play golf. And I'm like, okay. All right, anybody else have anything they want to comment on?
Mayor, yeah, real quick, I mean, being out there a lot in these, in the golf carts, to Kurt's point, we desperately need this in regards to just to get back and be able to make it around 18 holes. Some of the carts, you know, when we have large outings, our Comet Cup, which draws, well, we're doubled up on every hole, meaning we will have 8 carts or cars on every hole, and about halfway through the rounds, you'll see some of them that aren't making it. So I saw this and I got pretty excited, but then, you know, there were a few concerns because I started doing math in my head. And so first thing I do is I call Eric, and he doesn't know anything about golf. So he wasn't very helpful. But he did refer me on to Kurt. And, you know, it was just another testimony of, you know, these are golf carts. But if you sit down and you talk to Kurt, and it was extremely impressive in regards to how much effort, energy, time that he put into understanding what was going into this, and understand exactly what we needed, working with the golf course out there and the management company. You know, it was just, you know, it appeased me, you know, after one conversation. So Kurt, thanks for your hard work on this, and I'm looking forward to seeing these new golf carts. You're not there. Yeah, I got to say carts. I mean, I'm not going to call these golf carts.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have anything to say? Okay, let's have roll call.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We're on to item 12, ordinance 2021-134. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Kings Ford, Inc. for the purchase of 4 Ford Interceptor utility vehicles in the amount of $155,100 and declaring an emergency.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer?
Yes, Mayor, members of council, there are 2 things that allows us to provide city services, and that's personnel and resources. Historically, within the first 2 months of a new year, we bring council legislation to approve a number of different vehicles or pieces of equipment to provide those services. Unfortunately, with COVID, we are running into a number of supply chain delays as well as increasing costs. And at the last council meeting, we asked council to approve a few of our 2022 purchases yet this year. And what that did for us, it allowed us to get our names on a list to be able to move forward with those purchases once the cooperative purchasing programs opened or once the state bid opened. We're again asking for legislation this evening that would allow us to move forward with the purchase of these police cruisers. We are still waiting on 2 police cruisers that were ordered in February, and it is now December. So it is critical that we get this in place in order to, like I said, get our name on the list to get these vehicles as quickly as we can. The amount for this ordinance is $155,100. The quotes, again, we anticipate that the remaining of our vehicles and equipment we'll bring to council early in January in order to try and get approval for those and move forward with those purchases as well. With that, ordinance 2021-134 is recommended for adoption. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Any council discussion? No? Okay, I need roll call, please.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spade?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Abstain?
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Okay, we're on to item number 13, ordinance 2021-135. Motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Jeff?
Repealing Ordinance 2021-108 regarding declaring Mason as a sanctuary city for the unborn and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, council discussion.
Mayor?
Yes.
I just, I'm not going to say anything tonight that I haven't already said. In fact, I'll probably be repeating myself a little bit. The passing of Ordinance 2021-108 was not only against federal law, but it was also against our own Mason City Charter. We took an oath of office to protect this charter and to follow it. According to Article 6, Paragraph 2 of the U.S. Constitution, otherwise known as the Supremacy Clause, it provides that the Constitution and the laws of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, meaning federal law takes precedence over local law. Creating local laws that contradict federal laws is illegal and unconstitutional. Today, I am not voting on a pro-choice or a pro-life issue. This has nothing to do with abortion. Mason passed an ordinance that cannot be enforced. The city of Mason will get sued, and when it does, it is the taxpayers here in Mason and our businesses that will pay the price. It comes back to the love of my country. I respect the process here in America. The process here in America makes this country the greatest country to live in. I respect and I honor the men and the women who have fought and who have served our country. I respect the Gold Star families who have lost loved ones fighting for our rights here in this country. I will not let that loss be in vain. When local leaders begin acting laws that are in violation of residents' constitutional rights, we have a much larger problem. Recently, Justice Brett Kavanaugh expressed, which I think someone else said tonight, expressed concern about our constitutional rights by stating, there's a loophole that has been exploited here or used here. It could be free speech rights. It could be free exercise of religion rights. It could be Second Amendment rights. Look at what happened on December 11th in California. The governor introduced a bill modeled after the Texas abortion ban, which begins to eat away at our Second Amendment right. What is happening in our country? We are setting a precedent that will bring mayhem to this country that I love so much. Justice John Roberts also said, and this to me is one of the most important ones, if the legislature of several states may, at will, annul the judgments of the Court of the United States and destroy the rights acquired under those judgments, the Constitution itself becomes a solemn mockery. He was quoting the 1809 U.S. versus Peters case, which found that state legislators can't overrule federal courts. The nature of the federal right infringed does not matter. It is the role of the Supreme Court in our constitutional system that is at stake. I refuse to be a part of destroying the system in this country that I love dearly. I will fight to protect this country, our system, and our rights. I will be voting to overturn Ordinance 2021-108.
Okay, anyone else? Any other council comments? Yes.
I do have some questions. And I'll do my best here. Let me start with this. In the history of Mason since 1973, when the ruling of Roe versus Wade came down from the Supreme Court, since 1973, what has been women's access to abortion in Mason, Ohio? Can anybody from our staff answer that question? Has there been access to abortion within the city limits of Mason?
I'm really not aware of anything.
Okay, so
Before my time.
procedures, abortion procedures, physicians performing them in the city limits. Have we ever had a clinic here? Anything like that? Okay, and how does enacting this legislation change a woman's access to abortion today if she were to choose, if a pregnant mother were to choose to get an abortion today, and this legislation is not in effect right now in the city, what would her options be if she had to procure an abortion, or where would she go in the city of Mason?
If you all will please let her finish. Thank you.
Are there places to go in the city of Mason to see a physician for these services, for a surgical procedure, or for RU 486 that we know of? You have to be permitted to provide those services, correct?
Councilmember Grossman, I'm not quite sure. I guess, are you wanting one of the staff to answer?
Well, I think
Have a
where
comment
I'm
in a
going
minute?
with this is there are claims that we're violating Roe versus Wade and Casey versus Planned Parenthood, which are not federal laws, but they are opinions from the federal Supreme Court, and I understand that. But if you look at the legislation, the Sanctuary City for the Unborn legislation, it acknowledges the rulings of Casey versus Planned Parenthood and Roe versus Wade, and it does not contradict those. It actually works within those. It simply provides a criminal penalty for those assisting abortions and providing abortions within the city limits, which, as far as we know, has never occurred before. So it doesn't change access to abortion as far as we know. So when people say that we deliberately voted for a piece of legislation that violates federal law, that's just not true. And you may believe that. I know some of you are very passionately against this legislation. And I'd like to take just a moment to address the idea of being pro-abortion or pro-life as a legislator. When you are a public official and you have the ability to legislate, the term pro-life becomes a term of art in a sense. And there are many of you who have expressed, well, I'm pro-life, but I can't support legal protection for the unborn. And unfortunately, this is a form of legal protection for the unborn, but it's really a criminal penalty against someone who performs or assists the performance of an abortion. And it's not legal in the state of Ohio after there's a detectable heartbeat. It is enjoined by the courts in some counties, but not in Warren County. And so those of you who insist on saying that somehow there's a violation of the rulings on Roe versus Wade, Planned Parenthood versus Casey, or federal law, you're just wrong. And I suppose you believe that the entire council in Lebanon that approved this is also in violation of federal law. I guess you would. But as legislators, we also have a responsibility to be very clear in our positions, but also to consider the welfare and safety and well-being of our community and the future of our community. And so for me, even though I am pro-life and I believe that legal protection should be provided for the unborn, that they're entitled to it, it's their God-given right, and our Constitution supports that. But I looked at this as if we have an opportunity to go as far as we can legally with federal and state laws to provide a deterrent, and I never claimed that it would 100% prevent an abortion provider from locating here, but a deterrent to make it more difficult for an abortion provider to provide those services here, that was a good decision and in the best interest for the welfare, safety, and well-being of the public, for women and for the unborn, and for the businesses and property investors in our city. And so I will not be supporting the repeal. I believe that I've always supported the process. I believe that the buck stopped here first, and we needed to assess and vote on this legislation, which we did. It passed, and that gave the opportunity for the public to circulate petitions for a referendum. And many of you supported, and your arguments were consistent with giving the public an opportunity to circulate petitions for a referendum and taking it to the ballot. Now I sense that some want to renege on that. And that's unfortunate. I think the process is, now that it's gone through council, the public has responded, let's let it go ahead and go to the ballot. And that's the way I will be voting tonight. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Does any other council member have something they would like to say?
Mayor?
Yes.
This is going to be quick. I mean, a lot of the stuff has already been said. But the word deterrent was just used. And this is where my stance has stayed. You know, this is complete government overreach. And the reason why, it's very clear if you ever go out and talk to the citizens of Mason. It's confusing. The misconception that this is going to stop abortion is just absurd. We heard Councilmember Stricula ask our law director, and I don't know why you guys are not listening to this. It said, he asked the question, is this going to stop Planned Parenthood or another adoption clinic from coming into Mason? You know what the answer was? No. It doesn't stop abortions. This was not adopted to save the unborn lives. This was a political weapon during an election. Everyone in here knows it, and that's why we're sitting here now. But I brought up the word deterrent, and the reason why I think that's a funny term that you used, because when is the last time we seen a Planned Parenthood or an ACLU banner in Lebanon or Mason?
Mayor?
You asked about 1973 of what's going on, and here we are. We have never seen one of those until we decide to bring this up to the forefront. So guess what that's doing? That's attracting. So it's these political operatives that are running around acting as if they are doing something that is productive. It is counterproductive, and you're inviting the people that you're trying to keep out. Come on, folks. It's not that hard. If you get inside ideologies without using your brain, which I've seen happen up here an awful lot, this is what happens. It's counterproductive. And again, we would have every ACLU attorney lining up to sue us. We haven't enforced this yet. Just like the heartbeat bill that is still unenforceable from 2019. So I'm just sitting up here as a city council person.
Councilman,
I'm sorry, Mayor. But, you know, we get into this pro-life, pro-choice. I want everyone up here and I want everyone in the audience to know I am pro-Mason, and I am going to do things that benefit Mason and not my next stepping stone to maybe state rep or maybe to whatever position inside the Republican Party.
Okay.
So that's my stance on it.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor
Thank you. Does anybody else want to make a comment?
Yes, Mayor Spaeth.
Can we give everyone a chance first?
Well, I'd like to raise a point of order, please.
Well, we're not going to
knows.
go back and forth between.
Right, and I don't wish to address him at all. I just wish to raise the point of order that it's extremely inappropriate to assign motive and to make personal attacks as Member Chance has just done.
This is what is going to stop right now. Does anybody else have something that they want to say as a council member before we have a vote? Anybody else?
Mayor?
Yes.
If I may. We had, obviously we've had months and months of conversation about this. This is not, I'm not actually going to repeat anything that I've said past. We had an opportunity to send it to the voters. The previous council chose not to do that. Previous council chose to put it in our hands, and now it leaves this council to have to deal with it. And so that's what we're going to do tonight, is we're going to take care of it, we're going to deal with it. We've got multiple ordinances coming up here, repealing. This is about fixing and repairing bad legislation that we've seen. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Councilmember Stricula is saying. This is not good legislation. This is not in the interest of our city. This brings so much, our job up here, and I understand I'm new, but I do understand what our role is here. And our role is to do what's the best for our city and to not only look at the arguments that have been made in favor of or against abortion, but it's also to consider the ramifications of the actions taken up here. And there's very serious potential negative that can come out of this. So I like Councilmember Stricula said, we need to get back to square one. We need to get back to doing what we're elected to do. So that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I wanted to be very thoughtful about this since I was not on council previously when this was discussed, so I did write out a statement that I want to read. But I wanted to also make mention that I am very thankful that Ms. Lori Vyers was giving my email out to people over the weekend, because I found out that almost everyone who contacted me has not even read the ordinance and did not even know what was in it. And I would say that probably a lot of people here in our audience tonight have never even seen the final version after there was cut and paste done and it was revised a couple times. So I think that's interesting that people have an opinion about something that they've never even read. But I want to read this to you. I appreciate the passion and the spirit of the people who want to protect life, but this action was an overreach of city government. The Supreme Court and the state of Ohio are the entities to make decisions about abortion. This issue is not up to a locality to decide. As most of you have heard me say in the past, I was a social worker for 25 years. And during that time, I often worked to make recommendations to change legislation regarding abused and neglected children and foster and adoptive parents. Now, I'm not an attorney, but I did become very familiar with legislation and understanding legislation. I have to admit, after reading the final version of Ordinance 2021-108, declaring Mason as a sanctuary city for the unborn, I was so confused how anyone could mislead the citizens of Mason into thinking that this ordinance would stop abortion. It simply does not. You do not have, if you have not read the ordinance, I encourage everyone to go to the city website to get a copy of 2021-108 and read the section that starts under the amendments to city code, section 537.26. Not read the entire thing. The part that is underlined is what you have to read, because that is what went into the city code. I think you will be surprised at how terribly written and ambiguous the ordinance is after there were several revisions made. There are many who say this is a land use ordinance and would prevent abortion clinics from coming to Mason. There is nothing written in the ordinance that prevents an abortion clinic from coming here. City Council does not have the authority to prevent a clinic from even coming here. We cannot enforce zoning that prevents a medical facility from locating in Mason, and that's what this would be considered. There is nothing preventing a woman who lives in Mason from getting an abortion outside the city limits. There is nothing preventing a family member or friend from assisting a Mason woman from getting an abortion outside the city limits. It is only unlawful if it occurs within the city limits of Mason, and there are no abortion clinics here, so what is the point of this ordinance? Cities cannot enforce private rights of actions. The state has the broader authority. There are too many legal questions, and as many citizens have said, it is not a local government job to legislate state and federal laws. This is an important issue that needs consistent rules through the state and federal government instead of different rules in every town. It may be better left to the state to regulate this so that there can be consistent rules that everyone can know and understand. If you want to end abortion, I encourage you to take your fight to the state and federal level. State Representative Jenna Powell and State Representative Thomas Hall have introduced House Bill 480 on November 2nd, 2021, and it was referred to committee on November 9th, 2021. It is a bill to authorize private right of action for abortion or aiding abortion. Also, as you probably know, there's currently there's several court rulings that are pending in the Supreme Court. Again, this is not an issue that Mason City Council should ever be legislating in the first place. I know that this issue has been discussed on many occasions and often with a lot of anger. There are a lot of good people that don't agree on how or even if it should be addressed by a local government like Mason. The thing I keep coming back to, and that seems to be missing in most of the discussion, is that this issue, and certainly the ordinance, came from Texas and was written according to what they wanted. I never felt like Mason residents were given a chance to define what the concern was or how they wanted it addressed to suit Mason. We were reacting to issues brought to us from others. In my opinion, this ordinance sets our community up for legal action that will cost taxpayer dollars to defend it. Going forward, it is my duty to do the best thing for our city, and I will not support Mason being used as a guinea pig by a group out of Texas trying to get a court ruling. I hope that now there will be a chance for Mason residents to thoughtfully consider if, when, or how we can best support and promote life for residents here. I believe there are many ways residents, businesses, and the city can better take care of each other, and especially those in distress or need. I hope that many residents of both sides who have been active in the recent discussion continue talking and working with others locally, even if they disagreed on this approach, to find ways that our community can come together and build a local consensus on such issues. If more voices come and work together, I think we can move past the division and the anger. I believe we can bring our community closer together and ultimately have a greater, more durable impact for good. I commend Council members Chance and Stricula for making an attempt in September to engage faith and nonprofit communities to make Mason a city where we show compassion and love for those that might have to face such a terrible decision. I want to encourage them to continue this outside the scope of their role on Mason City Council and be the leaders to engage our community and find a way to support and promote life. With all this said, I will be voting to repeal Ordinance 2021-108. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment before we have the roll call?
Mayor,
Yes.
to your point, I appreciate you pointing that out. In regards to, I sat down with Life Forward and Elizabeth New Life Center, and I know there's going to be some operatives out there trying to raise money possibly for a referendum. And anyone, if this is something that you're passionate about, I would highly encourage you to look up Elizabeth New Life Center or Life Forward and donate money to them, because they're actually making change. They're not passing overreach government laws. They are making change. I've sat down with them, and they are incredible what they do to surround women and protect them and show them empathy. What we're looking to do is just the opposite. So thank you for pointing that out, and I promise I will continue that path, and hopefully Councilmember Stricula, I think I got him in trouble last time. So he was like, Mayor, I don't know if I'm going to do this with you anymore, but I'd welcome that if you would like. So thank you for pointing that out, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Let's have a roll call, please.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
No.
Councilmember Stricula.
Yes.
All right, I'm going on to item 14, ordinance 2021-136. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Jeff.
Repealing Ordinance 2021-92 regarding a downtown Mason development agreement with Keystone Lot LLC and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I needed a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, council discussion.
Mayor?
Yes.
Obviously, I will not be supporting a repeal on this ordinance, and I just want to remind council and the public that what we're losing by repealing this ordinance, we're losing an opportunity for the public to speak at the ballot, as was indicated to them as petitions were circulated. We've moved on to the next topic. I'm doing my best here, audience. The public was told that they would get to decide if they signed the petition, and that this would go to the ballot, and that they would be more of a stakeholder in what was happening downtown. And we did our best from the dais, those of us who carefully studied the issue, to communicate the real facts about the development agreement. We were transparent. We announced, I believe in November of 2020, that we would be entering negotiations, and we didn't vote on it until later on, I think in August of 2021. So quite some time had passed, and the public was well aware that we were working through that. Well, if this is repealed or doesn't go to the voters, and if it would be reversed by the voters, here's what we're going to lose: a $20 million private investment in downtown Mason, unprecedented, on 3.82 acres of land. That's over $5 million per acre private investment. We would be missing an opportunity to, and we've already missed this, a lot of time on this, to immediately implement roadway studies and utility studies so that we could improve the function of our infrastructure downtown and bury utility lines, and greatly improve the East Main part of the downtown Mason corridor. We would be losing the opportunity to have what studies starting back in the early 2000s recommended. The Pogemeyer study was an intensive, lengthy study called the Downtown Revitalization Study, I believe. It wasn't called a master plan, but it was very similar and very intensive. And there were other studies that occurred at that time with a great deal of input from stakeholders and residents and the council. That's what they pointed to: mixed use with residential and retail combined. Combining properties, or I'm trying to find the words, working with property lines. So I don't want to say ignoring property lines, but you're combining parcels so that you can do bigger things in smaller spaces, because there's so many tiny parcels in downtown Mason. Shared parking was another item recommended in there. And so, you know, there are all kinds of things that this proposed development would have brought to downtown Mason and become a really incredible anchor for downtown Mason. We're also going to lose the pilot payment that a $20 million private investment could bring. And the way I calculated a sample amount was by taking the $20 million improvements, which is not abated in the 15-year, well, it's abated in the 15-year period, but only if the schools were to reach a pilot agreement with the developer. And so that would be, you know how we calculate our taxes with our property tax by state law. It's 35% of 20 million and then divided by 1,000, and then times the number of mills. And then the schools typically agree to about between 70 to 75% of that for a pilot. That's called payment in lieu of taxes. And so the schools will miss out on that, a lot of money over the next 15 years and moving forward during the lifetime of a project like that. And something I couldn't talk about during the time that we were dealing with that was the new development at the old Western Row Golf Course, which will be an incredible development and an incredible amenity for our residents. And that I'll just say that's going to be a very special grocery store that's going in and some other retail spaces. And when I learned about that, I realized we needed a very good anchor in downtown Mason so that it doesn't continue to be a congested pass-through, but it could truly add balance to our community. And so this opportunity also is lost by this repeal and potentially a referendum at the ballot. And one more thing for the Pause Plan Grow movement, I was so disappointed because so much misinformation was circulated by the community by those circulating petitions, and it included a lot of personal attacks and speculation on ethics because they didn't like the development, and that was disappointing too and created a lot of confusion in our community. I thought it was a good development, good for economic development in downtown Mason, and a great anchor to get us started. And so for those reasons, I will not be supporting this repeal.
Thank you, Councilmember Grossman. Anyone else like to make a comment? If none, I just want to say again, I was not on council when this was passed and discussed, but I did attend meetings, or else I was watching from home, most certainly. And I was one of the people that got up in front of council and just said, you know, let's take a pause on this, as I think many, many citizens did over a couple different meetings. I think maybe a lot of citizens might have come to want this kind of a project if we just had an opportunity to take a little time and vet it out a little bit more. So for me, I definitely am going to support repealing this. The reason why I feel like we should do this and not wait till May is because why wait another 5 months? I think we should just repeal this and get moving forward and doing what we're going to do next, whatever that may be. So I am going to support repealing this. Anyone else like to say anything? If not, we'll have a roll call.
Vice Mayor Nelson. Yes. Councilmember Chance.
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn.
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey.
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman.
No.
Councilmember Stricula.
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth.
Yes. Okay, item number 15 is Resolution 2021-28. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Jeff?
A resolution repealing a policy related to nonprofit corporations engaged in political activity and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I would like a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
Okay, anyone, council discussion, anyone would like to say anything in regard to this one?
Mayor.
Yes.
Yeah, this one really hits home for me. I started my business here in Mason 16 years ago, and the first organization that I went to get help to figure out just what it was I was doing, since I had no idea how to start a business, was the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber is an amazing organization that does so much for small businesses, and in my opinion, this particular ordinance basically cuts them off at the knees, and it also creates a lot of problems for staff. We've had to amend this several times. Again, this was just bad legislation that we don't need to have in our city, and I am 100% in support of repealing that ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor, I introduced this piece of legislation. I'm a firm believer, and also talking to a lot of people in the city of Mason, city money should not go to nonprofits to be used for political purposes. And we may see this back. I will be voting no.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to make a comment? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's unfortunate that this has been characterized as something that's specific to the chamber. I think it's sound public policy to never use public funds for political activity, ever. And I don't really know of anybody, any taxpayer, that believes we should use taxpayer funds to promote political activity or to support organizations that promote political activity. Now, there is nothing specific about the chamber in the legislation. The chamber does great things for small businesses. This is not specific to the chamber. This is specific to political activity performed by nonprofits. And if council repeals this, I think what council is saying is that it is okay with spending public money on organizations that conduct political activity. And that's just wrong. And so I don't know what you plan to do if this is repealed and why it's so important, but there is a wonderful clause in that piece of legislation, which is good legislation. And if we were to engage financially with a nonprofit, a local nonprofit, and this is about local nonprofits, all they have to do is certify in writing that they're not going to engage in political activity. It's that easy. It's so easy. And then not do it. So I was really disappointed to see this on here. I think that there was no time wasted. It's first business meeting of council, and we're repealing another good piece of legislation. So, and I'll just remind my colleagues about assigning motive, especially political motive. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to make a comment? Yes.
Mayor, I have one comment, and my intensity on this is that the repeal of this ordinance brings New Jersey to Mason, where everything will be legal as long as you don't get caught.
Okay, anyone else want to make a comment?
Well, Mayor, just real quick, it's, we've been engaged in doing this type of stuff for a long time, for a very long time. And I don't know, maybe it is just a coincidence, no motive, but we did not start doing this stuff until there were attacks on our chamber, on our CDC. So I don't find that a coincidence. And this is very bad legislation because, we brought it up at the very beginning of the meeting. There is going to be times where if we want to give to a nonprofit, we should be able to. And to have government overreach and be able and have to go through all these different hoops and everything else that you guys have created, it just doesn't make any sense. I think a lot of this type of legislation, it wasn't directed towards us. It's our staff that brings a lot of this stuff to us. So I can't wait to repeal this.
Okay, anyone else like to make a comment? Council?
Mayor.
Yes. Yes.
I was at the meeting where the chamber was attacked, and they were attacked because during the pandemic, they were trying to support our small businesses, and they asked our small businesses, which they work for our small businesses, should we be holding our public officials accountable for their actions regarding the pandemic? And the public or the businesses said yes, overwhelmingly. And council members were named, and it was from there that this legislation came to attack the chamber. The chamber is a critical part of our community, critical part for our businesses, and we will be working with the chamber because they are a huge asset to our community. So I am for repealing this.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor? Once again, motive is assigned, and it is clear from the legislation that this is not directed at any one organization. I believe it is inappropriate to use public funds on an organization, though, that specifically asks its members and people in the marketplace to rate current elected officials. It puts us in a really tough position with decision-making. And to say it's government overreach, to be careful and responsible with taxpayer funds, offends me. And I believe any day that sloppy use of government funds is also government overreach and not responsible governing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I just want to comment and say, I really didn't understand the need for this, and I'm not going to go down the path that it was directed at any one group or anything like that. I think all of us up here are inherently good people. I think that our citizens in our community are inherently good people, and I think our nonprofits are. And I think if there's something not going well with one particular group, one organization, one nonprofit, then we need to look at that on a case-by-case basis and not throw everybody in the same pool. So for me, I just didn't think this was necessary. So I'm going to vote to repeal it. If that's it, roll call, please.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
No.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
No.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We're to item 16, which are committee reports. I'm not sure we have any yet. We do have our new
Mayor?
committees assigned, and, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to, we've also had some legislation enacted that I would like to see stop. So I want to move to terminate the special counsel engagement with Alan Abes and the firm of Dinsmore and Scholl related to investigative services regarding alleged leaks of confidential material.
Okay, so there's a motion. Is there a second? I'll second. Okay, and do we just have roll call?
I would do a roll call.
Okay, then
There can be discussion.
is there any discussion on that motion? Okay, well, let's have roll call then.
Councilmember Bradburn?
No.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
No.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Okay. Back to item number 16, committee reports. Like I said, I'm not sure that we have any yet. We do have our new committees assigned. I don't think that'll be on the website. When will it go on the website?
New committees?
The committees that everyone is assigned to.
We'll get it out.
Once you appoint them.
Is there anybody that has a committee report that they may want to make from previous council or anything like that?
No.
Okay, well then we'll move on to item 17, which is old and new business. And I do have a request to confirm the vote for appointment of, well, I guess for all the council committee appointments. I'm not going to go through all that. People can find that on the website or.
Council members should have the chart of committee assignments for council members. So I think that's what you're asking for. is to
Yes,
confirm.
thank you. But in addition, I do need council approval to appoint Councilmember Grossman to the Park Board, Councilmember Hackey to the Planning Commission, Councilmember Grossman to OKI, Vice Mayor Nelson to the Warren County Municipal League, and Vice Mayor Nelson, wait a minute. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, and Vice Mayor Nelson, Councilmember Hackey, and Councilmember Stricula to the Veterans Board. So do I have a motion to approve all of those committees?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Yes.
All right, very good, thank you. Anyone else have any old and new business?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to pass this out real quick here and take one. Oops, can I have one? Thank you. I would like to add a resolution to our agenda tonight, and
I'm sorry, I'm messing it up.
this is in regards to, for council to pass the participation agreement to join the Johnson & Johnson National Opioid Settlement, which will bring additional funding to Mason to combat the epidemic. This participation agreement is different from the one that we passed a few months ago. This one the prior one was a participation agreement for the Big Three distributor settlement, which ended up being a 99% of the qualified local governments participating in it. Much like that settlement, the value of the J&J settlement increases with, it increases with the percentage of the local governments that participate. In the state of Ohio, 95% of the litigating subdivisions with a population in excess of 10,000 to participate in the settlement for the settlement to be accepted. This level of participation will guarantee recovery of at least 70% of the maximum amount available. The reason I'm adding it at the last minute is because this has to be passed, I believe, by December 17th. So it's critical that we pass this in order for our city to take part in the settlement of the opioid epidemic from J&J.
Okay, and you've already, is there already been a motion, or you're just introducing it?
I'm introducing it, but I'd also like to make a motion.
Excuse me,
wanna
Mayor.
go-
First,
okay.
we'll need to make a motion to add it to the agenda.
Okay.
And it will be Resolution 2021-29.
29, okay.
So that motion would be in order first.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to add it to the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, and then,
And then we would just treat it like a motion to read by title.
okay, I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second?
And all in favor?
Yes.
Is there anyone else to add to it? Any of you guys? No?
Okay, so I'll read it by title only.
Okay, all right.
This is Resolution 2021-29, a resolution to accept the material terms of the Johnson & Johnson National Opioid Settlement and authorizing the city manager to execute a related participation agreement and declaring an emergency.
Okay. Now, is there any other discussion? No?
No, I think Councilmember Nelson covered it.
Okay. So I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Discussion?
Oh, well, we will get there.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get there. So do we have a motion to adopt after the first reading?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, now council discussion, yes.
Mayor, question, what do we get out of it?
Mayor Spade.
We get money.
Mayor Spaeth?
I'm sorry.
I said, my question is, what do we get out of it?
Mayor, can I answer?
Yes. So we have to add our names, and if there's 95% of Ohio's municipalities with the 10,000 or over, then we will get 70% of the settlement. Ohio will. So it will give money back to our community in order for us to fight the epidemic.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Yes.
So any funds received, I have two questions. One, is there any expense to the city of Mason to participate? And then the second question is, are any funds that we may potentially receive mandated to be spent for the purpose of battling opioid addiction, which would be fine with me, by the way.
Mayor, I can answer that.
Okay.
Right, there are no expenses involved to the city of Mason, and I do believe that we will have to use that money to fight the epidemic.
Anything else? Okay, I think we're ready for roll call.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Okay, anybody else have anything for old and new business? I did want to mention, I want to emphasize that everyone should buy the Come Together gift cards. This is a wonderful time of year to do that because you know you're always buying gift cards at the holiday time, and those are still available that can be used in many of our businesses throughout the city. And I also want to congratulate Joe Riegelsberger and the entire finance department, Eric, Jennifer, and all the city staff, because we got an email from Eric telling us about how much debt that has been paid down by the city. And I want to thank you for your conservative budgeting and aggressive action to preserve our AAA credit rating. Several payments were made to reduce the city's outstanding debt. The city has lowered its outstanding debt by $42 million since 2009, and by the end of 2022, another $4.2 million will be reduced. And we've done all that with all the wonderful things that we have, and I'm going to say, like the Mason Aquatic, we got to take a look at that today, and I was just astonished. The Aquatic Center is just fabulous. And so kudos to the staff because they know how to spend it and spend it wisely, but also do it so that we are not going to go down the hole. Thank you so much, so much. All right, I guess we're ready to move on to, item 18, recognition of visitors again. Anyone else want to get back up and speak? Yes, just go to podium, please, and state your name and address.
Good evening. I'm just going to keep this really short. My name is Josh Beckman, 422 Lakefront Drive, Lebanon, Ohio. I just want to address something that Mr. Lertzman had said. It's unfortunate that he mischaracterized my statements a little bit. Yes, it's true that Councilmember Nelson, you did refer to the sanctuary city ordinance regarding the emergency language specifically. However, what I stated about Councilmember Chance, my third quote, was taken from October 25th, which is the actual day of the vote. And he actually did say on that day, there was no emergency language added. This was post that, to the point of Councilmember Nelson and Councilmember Stricula and Councilmember Bradburn wanted to do. Why wouldn't we take it to the voters? So this was again done after the emergency language was put through, or not put through. And I just want to clarify that, again, it's very disheartening that you all, those who had stated, wanted to put this on the ballot for the voters to decide upon. And I think it's very disheartening and hypocritical to want to repeal something and not allow the voters to speak, specifically what you wanted to do in the first place. And that will always be remembered. So thank you for your time, and Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Anyone else want to get up and speak? Okay.
This will be fast. Susie Lertzman, 7343 Red Oak Court, Mason, Ohio. Thank you for treating all of the women like adults. I appreciate it very much. I will say, as I have said for years, if you're against abortion, don't have one.
Anyone else like to get up and speak?
Hello, my name is Laura Streetman. I am Executive Director of Cincinnati Right to Life. And I find this entire situation sad and confusing. Again, I'll lead with empathy. I'm sorry to all the women in the room that you've lost a child to abortion, that you've experienced an abortion. I've worked in the pro-life movement full-time for 15 years, as I've shared every other time I've testified. I've dealt with the sorrow and the grief and the pain of people that I love and people that I know that are post-abortive. And what's sad is how confused this issue came to Mason. What you were trying to do was prevent an abortion clinic from ever wanting to open up in your city. And for a city that's all about family, all about community, great parks, great schools, beauty, life, it seemed so obvious that you would want to keep abortion out of your city. So to have to say that this would have to go all the way to the Supreme Court and it's the law of the land, and that's just not so. You can make smaller laws within your community, and we've seen it done in other instances. So my hope for your city is that an abortionist doesn't now see that this repealed and kind of try to get back at everyone and open up an abortion clinic here, just like Martin Haskell did in Sharonville when he went into the dark of the night over 10 years ago and opened up an abortion clinic there in a neighborhood, a beautiful neighborhood of Sharonville. And if you don't know much about abortion in the tri-state, let's remember that Martin Haskell, who still operates in Dayton, Ohio, is the notorious inventor of the partial birth abortion. And this took place in Sharonville. The baby is born and takes a breath, and then you snip the spinal cord and crush the baby's skull, and as you pull every other body part out of the woman's cervix. And this is what you were fighting against. So I'm sorry that so many of you got too involved in politics versus life and thinking, how do we keep our community great and try to keep that killing out of our community the way that it snuck into Sharonville, Ohio, and it also snuck into Aurora, Illinois, and that community suffers greatly from the massive Planned Parenthood that is there and kills thousands of babies every single year. And babies are aborted in this state past 22 weeks for convenience. I know many women that I helped for years that a job loss, a breakup with a boyfriend, a fight with their mother, they would abort their baby almost to the third trimester. So you're dreaming if you think that this type of violence doesn't take place and does not now have the ability to sneak into Mason, Ohio. And I hope it doesn't. I hope the pro-aborts don't say, oh, we're going to open an abortion clinic there just to get back at Mason for trying to keep that type of killing out of their community. So God bless Mason, and I certainly do hope that this goes to the people and that the pro-life people show up and say that this is a community about life and birth.
Mrs. Streetman, you have come to the end of your...
Thank you. Anyone else would like to say anything? Okay.
Mayor, I'd like to,
Mayor, if I might, I know that adjournment is the last thing, so I apologize, but I think I'd let council know. I'm going to request that you consider a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss imminent court action.
Okay. Is there something that you need to take care of before we do that?
no.
Okay. Is there such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
You have to take,
Yes.
you have to do
Oh,
roll
we
call.
do roll call. Oh, I'm sorry, we have to do roll call. Okay.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey.
Yes.
All right, thank you all very much. I believe
Thank
we're
you.
going into executive session.
Yes.
Okay.
You owe me.
And Mary. Okay, I need a motion to reconvene into regular session.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and then I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Any second? All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. We're adjourned.